Sorry about a false start a second ago. I don't know, I must have had 10 tabs open and something was interfering, but now we should be good. See, when I was in the church, if something bad happened, like with the sound system or there was a glitch or something, they'd be like, oh, the devil doesn't like it when you step on his toes. So I could have said it was like maybe God trying to drown out my voice. But, if all he's got is a Nissan ad playing in the background, his arsenal is relatively thin. So before we get into anything else, and I'm trying to scroll the chat as best I can, the question of the day revolves around trains. Let me see if I can pull this up here. We'll take a peek at the question. There we go. All right. So this was apparently a Reddit thread. Someone said, how many chuggas should come before choo-choo? The most important question asked today. And I guess this has just been going viral. Well, I can tell you what I think. I posted this on Facebook, and I wish you would sound off. I said one should chugga at least eight times before the subsequent choo-choo. Any proper expression of chew requires preparatory lingual groundwork. A chuggaless chew, it just limps out of the mouth like a half sneeze. And spectators are likely to toss tissues and recommend a neti pot. An isolated chew is also cheated of the required anticipatory fanfare. Imagine the queen arriving at court through the servants' doors with a single honk. This should not be encouraged. Finally, if we're talking about trains, a Santa Fe 3000 at 175,000 pounds force could not progress 1 inch on a single chew. Because one chugga, is the physics equivalent of a Boeing 737 trying to fly on the fumes from an Aquanet can. This is not possible. You need 8 chuggas. Chugga, 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 chew, chew. What are your thoughts? This is important stuff. People love this stuff. And honestly, it's refreshing from all the nastiness that we've been seeing on Twitter, and that has become sort of par for the course on Twitter. People are losing their shit about everything, everywhere. I'm doing a speech in Texas this weekend that talks a lot about this. I'm reading a couple of books as well that speak about the psychology of morality versus moralism. So, everybody's out there chewing. Here's another one that I saw. Let me post this if I can quickly. This is another one that is causing serious debate. Coca-Cola latches onto America's flavored seltzer obsession with sparkling smart water. Natalie loves sparkling water. She loves it. She loves it. And I saw, was it a comedian who said that sparkling water is the equivalent, it's the taste equivalent of having your arm go to sleep. Anyway, just saying. Sparkling water. No flavor, just sparkling water. Somebody explain this to me. Of course, I'm bitching about a preference, so who really cares? But it's fun stuff to talk about, a whole lot more fun than the actual headlines. Of course, we continue to grieve over the mass shooting in New Zealand, 50 dead. Did you see that already, after 5 days, they passed a resolution or are passing a resolution to ban all military-style weapons? There's another hot topic, and people are already dividing about the responsibility of a gun owner versus the gun culture, and then, of course, there's the Islamophobe argument. I publicly countered, and I love American Atheist. I'm involved with American Atheist and believe in what they're about. But they had reposted an article. Let me see if I can find it here. Titled, Islamophobia is a Real Thing. Let me find that. Forgive me for not having it pulled up. I may have. Islamophobia is a real thing. And it was posted where? Was it on Slate? Forgive me for not. Well, anyway, the gist is that they are saying one of the reasons that the person who killed 50 in New Zealand was enabled or encouraged to do so is because of Islamophobia, and it's something we have to talk about. It was actually a Slate article that said that all white Australians bear a measure of responsibility for the shooting because they've helped to foster, if nothing else, by their own ambivalence, an attitude of bigotry toward Muslims. So here we have the conflation of Islam and Muslim people. Islam, the idea, and Muslim could be a Muslim person, or it could be a devout, faithful, a radical Muslim, a moderate, a casual, a secular Muslim, someone who just simply holds to the culture and the traditions of being a Muslim without holding a supernatural belief. We're talking about people versus ideas. Islamophobia, and I hold to this, is not a thing, really. I'm not irrationally afraid of Islam as a debunked mythology, a superstition, and in many countries around the world, a damaging theocratic entity. Islam and Islamic nations operating through a literal interpretation or their own interpretation, a violent interpretation, often a suppressive interpretation of the Quran. Islamophobia is also embraced by those who wish to insulate Islam from criticism. So anyone who says that it's ridiculous, it's been debunked, it's bogus, it's unfair, it's designed to oppress women, it's designed to oppress non-faiths, it needs to be put away. They say you're an Islamophobe, and then other people who call themselves progressive say, well, I don't want to be called a bigot. I certainly don't want to be called a racist, as if Islam is a race. And they start to acquiesce and walk very, very softly around Islam. We're not pulling punches with Christianity, Catholicism. We are calling it what it is. And yet when it comes to Islam, people are so willing to decide that criticizing the idea of Islam, the truth claim with a capital T, the truth claim of Islam, is in some way an attack on Muslims themselves, apparently not realizing that the vast majority of the people who are oppressed by Islam, fundamental, radical, violent Islam, the vast majority of the people who are oppressed are themselves Muslim. So in order to help liberate Muslims from the oppression, we must speak out against, at least at the very least, the fundamental version of Islam, the fundamental teachings and dogmas of Islam. They're not the same. And I hate to sound like I'm dropping names when I bring up people like Armin Navabi and Ali Rizvi and Yasmin Muhammad and Sarah Haider and Muhammad al-Qadra and Muhammad Syed. I just spoke with Jimmy Bangash for the broadcast a few days ago. He's a gay ex-Muslim. He can speak firsthand about how Islam and Islamophobia is used as a kind of protective mechanism against an entire religion. I don't speak out against Islam because I hate Muslims. I speak out against Islam because I love people, and Muslims are included under that umbrella. And I feel like that by reposting an article about Islamophobia, even to promote discussion, I felt that American Atheist had not been helping. They named, or they reposted a quote from the article naming Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Bill Maher. And they didn't do a lot of clarifying or saying that this was in the article. It to the casual viewer might have looked like they were saying, yeah, we support the claims made in this article. And so I privately and publicly said, look, we stand apart on this one. And I told them why, and I told them so also in person, because I feel like that's the responsible thing to do, not to criticize from afar, but to actually go to the source. And so I have done both. I went to the source and issued my concerns, and we had a very respectful and great conversation, and I remain a fan of American Atheists. But I do not hold to the idea that we are helping by fostering this notion of Islamophobia as the equivalent of anti-Muslim bigotry, which is something different, and that's the term that I've decided to embrace in my own life. Anti-Muslim bigotry is bigotry against human beings, and we need to be advocates for human beings. But Islamophobia, do you think I'm irrationally afraid of Islam? Of course not. I mean, it makes no sense. And so then we get into the subjective definitions of what Islamophobia is, and some people say it's about the ideas, and some people say you can't separate ideas from people, and it just becomes a mess. Islamophobia is not the same as anti-Muslim bigotry. Now, my buddy Armin Navabi, he's the founder of Atheist Republic. He is a guy who was once a follower of Islam, and as a teenager was so afraid that he was going to screw up and not be holy enough, not achieve heaven, that he attempted suicide at the age of 15, I think. Was he 15? Or was it a couple of years younger? Threw himself out a window. Second story, third story window, something like that. And thinking that, if he hadn't yet reached their version of the age of accountability, that he would automatically go to heaven. And he certainly didn't want to go to hell. That's how jacked up his brain was. Now, this is your brain on Islam, okay? And he since extracted himself from Islam. He is an apostate. He's a human rights advocate. And he's a fierce, fierce critic of Islam. And he doesn't believe you should moderate it, unlike Majid Nawaz. He doesn't think you can't moderate. It's an insult to Islamists to say, well, you're not smart enough to reject the faith outright. So here's a watered down, harmless version of your dogma. Let's moderate your fundamentalist belief. He thinks that's an insult to Muslims. He thinks, let's just do away with it all. Let's just criticize the whole thing and encourage apostasy. Just walk away. You don't need it. And he's kind of a hardliner. Well, he's supposed to, and I have the article pulled up here. Let me see if I can get it on the screen for you. There it is. Okay. He was scheduled to speak today in Calgary at Mount Royal University, and that talk was canceled. Let me just scroll down here and I'll read. Sorry about the little blue guy there on the right. He's very distracting. But an ex-Muslim who is now an atheist and secular activist says Mount Royal University is overreacting by canceling his talk that was planned on campus for Thursday, today. Armin Navabi, who lives in British Columbia, was being brought in by the Atheist Society of Calgary to share his journey and discuss the reasons he doesn't believe the Islamic faith can be reformed. But now he says he's disappointed he won't get a chance to engage in some passionate discussions with staff and students, including those who still practice Islam because of MRU's last-minute decision. What do they want? Do you want to have less conversation? Isn't less conversation exactly what leads to people having extreme, radical positions? Said Navabi. I mean, less words exchanged between us, the more fists and bullets are going to exchange between people. Having more conversations is exactly what you need in the face of some tragedy like this. The Atheist Society of Calgary said it was hoping to provide a safe space for open communication and a chance for people to learn more about atheists from Navabi's perspective. The group said it was also an opportunity to let some people know they are not alone. And the article goes on. You can find it. It's posted at the CBC, and you can see the headline, MRU cancels speech by ex-Muslim turned atheist in light of New Zealand terror attack. Now, we have to ask, why is this controversial? Why is this canceled? Is Armin Navabi out there promoting hate? No. Is he out there criticizing an idea, sharing an opinion, a specific perspective for the purpose of enabling conversation? Absolutely. What happens when our universities begin to become protectorates for certain ideas over others, or become so gun-shy every time somebody declares that a specific idea is sacred that it simply becomes an arbiter, a subjective arbiter of what's good, what's not good? Who makes that decision? Who decides what speech we get to hear? I'm reminded of Christopher Hitchens. Who will we decide for us who gets to hear this idea and who shouldn't hear that idea? Who gives audience to this position or platform and who doesn't give audience to this or that? When our institutions of learning cease to become places which challenge us, are we really learning anything? Is this really about education? And I worry that we've become so gun-shy around Islam lately It's even hard left progressives who really are working, I think, under the idea that they want to be more accepting of Muslims, which is a worthy idea. But they, again, combining Islam, the idea, with Muslims, the culture, and the people, they are giving deference to a superstition that needs to be harshly criticized, certainly scrutinized. And like Christianity and like Scientology and like Jehovah's Witnesses and like the cargo cults of the South Pacific, like all of these mythologies, like the Greek gods and the Roman gods and the pagan gods, which is kind of redundant, all the other gods, they must be examined on merits and accepted and or rejected. And Islam does not get a pass. And it's not hateful to Muslims to say that we not just should do this, but we must do this. Anyway, that's kind of where I've been recently. Ed Brayton at Pathos posted an article, public article yesterday, saying that he disagreed with me on the Islamophobia argument, saying he believed I got it wrong. His article was not part of the sort of recreational outrage culture that we're seeing out there these days, and I appreciate that. I don't know Ed very well, but I consider him a friend, and I like and respect him, and I appreciate his work, and I told him so very much. And so, he posted a blog, and I responded and said, well, I disagree, and here's why. And at the end of the day, to my knowledge, it's all still friendly. I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the example that we're able to show two people who have a disagreement, a pretty strong disagreement on an important and critical issue, who did not turn on each other, who didn't resort to name-calling, who didn't decide to destroy each other in name and reputation, but who simply presented their cases, for better and for worse, and at the end of the day decided that we remain friends and allies. And I believe that's still the case, And I want that to provide the example for other people who publicly disagree, that it is possible for us to bandy about these important subjects without losing our minds and turning on each other and creating the villain against which we play the hero. And there's so much of that out there, and I'm so weary of it. I'm so tired of it. It cheats the genuine villains that are out there, the opportunity to stand against the genuine villains, right? If everything's an outrage, nothing is. If everyone's a villain, no one is. It just becomes this sort of self-defeating mission. And disagreement should be part of a free-thinking culture. Respectful, responsible, mature disagreement should be part of a free-thinking culture of skeptics. And we should be able to do so without losing our minds and going after each other personally. So for that, I'm thankful for Ed. I'm thankful for the staff and the board of directors, the other board members at American Atheist, because we have had respectful conversation on this issue. And I hope that provides an example that it can be done. It can be done. Very quickly, let me see what's happening in the chat. Let's see. Is there anything? Is this pulling up here? Is this updating? Let me see here. What's the difference between Christianity and a Christian? Same for Muslims and Islam. I'm an ex-Christian, but I love people, and many of the people who are in my life are themselves Christians. I want to see them liberated, disabused from superstition. And whether we agree or disagree on the subject of God, many of them are beautiful people whom I love, and they have great value, and I would want to protect them. Whether they're Hindu or whether they're part of whatever culture, they're a human being. We're part of the human family. Now we're updating on the chat. Marcus said, when neither the people who publicly support nor oppose a particular policy don't understand its original purpose, we won't see them implemented properly. I missed the context on that one, Marcus. Forgive me. Haley said, I don't get it. You can be a secular Muslim. Oh, yeah, you sure can. Now think about a Muslim culture. Okay? Did you know that I believe it's more than half of practicing Jews do not believe in the supernatural? They don't. Right? So even though they are practicing the customs of Judaism, And they have the traditions, the bar mitzvah and the bat mitzvah, and they have, that whether it's the attire, the music, the holidays, okay? They approach those from a perspective of, how do I say that? They approach those as traditions, part of the window dressing of our lives. And I'm all about ritual and tradition. I think they can be very, very helpful things. It's one thing that many people miss when they leave the church is the rituals, the framework for the things that are important in our lives. And but more than half of Jews, practicing Jews, are totally non-believers in any God anywhere, yet they remain Jews. And they are enjoying the culture of Judaism. This is how many people, there are people who left Christianity who still enjoy some of the framework, knowing that it's a myth. They still enjoy some of the music, knowing it's a myth. They participate in similar type things. Satanism, the Satanic Temple. Lucian Greaves is a buddy of mine. They are absolutely not believers in the supernatural, yet Satanism remains a secular religion. They have put together a framework which has, they think, utility for sort of coloring the human experience. They enjoy using Satan as a role model, as one who rebelled against tyranny. And they use Satan as a symbol in that way and have a hell of a lot of fun doing so. And yet they are a secular religion, right? So that's how I mean it when someone can be a secular Muslim. They can participate in the customs and practices without holding to a supernatural belief. By the way, there's a new film out, as I understand it, about the Satanic Temple. What is the name of that movie? Let me take a look here. Satanic Temple movie. Hail Satan. See if I can get this on the screen for you, my friends. There it is. Hail Satan. This is from The Rap. I don't know much about The Rap. Hero Satanists use the devil to separate church and state. First few paragraphs. Let's get a few things out of the way about the Satanic Temple, the religious activist group at the center of the excellent documentary Hail Satan, which rapturously premiered Friday afternoon at the Sundance Film Festival. First, members of the Satanic Temple say they don't actually worship Satan or even believe in him. They want nothing to do with the murders and child abuse attributed to Satanism during the satanic panic of the 1980s. Hang on. That's an irresponsibly written freaking paragraph. They want nothing to do with the murders and child abuse attributed to Satanism. There were no murders and child abuse due to Satanism during the satanic panic of the 1980s and 90s. The McMartin fiasco and all of those satanic ritual abuse stories were part of a fear culture. They were fabricated stories many people released from prison after doing decades of hard time or semi-hard time. So I hate the way that paragraph is written. It's not that they don't want to be associated with the Satanists who abused and killed. They shouldn't want to be associated with the idea of a supernatural Satan. That would be a better way to say it. It's a disappointing way to phrase it. Their only human sacrifices are tremendous sacrifices of their own time in the name of the humanity. Hell, who wrote this? They revel in shock value. Their headquarters is a black house in Salem, Massachusetts, home of the witch trials, and may be best known for a legal fight with Netflix's The Chilling Adventure of Sabrina. But their core belief that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion isn't some kooky commandment they invented during a black mass. It's the first line of the First Amendment. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't know if you can rent it on iTunes or Amazon or if it's going to be on Netflix or whatever. But This is part of the problem we have with the media. They got the satanic panic horribly wrong. The way to phrase that is during the false outrage, the misdirected fear pimping and misdirected outrage of the 1980s and 90s as people started to blame Satan and satanic influence for pretty much everything. Everything from He-Man, the toy, to My Little Pony, to Dungeons and Dragons, to Ozzy Osbourne, to you name it. And so the idea that they would be so lazy with that second paragraph really kind of bugs me. But anyway, Hail Satan is the name of the film. And I'm in. I'll go see it. I heard, I think I saw Lucian post about it on Twitter. I guess it had, I don't know if they got I think they got a standing ovation at Sundance after the film unveiled. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. All right, back to the chat real fast. Anybody else have anything that you want to toss out very quickly? This is where I got in trouble. Seth, please read the Scroll of Aster. What's the Scroll of Aster? Forgive my ignorance here. Let's look. The Scroll of Aster. No, I don't see it. No, to my knowledge, there were a few apologies, but about the satanic panic. I know that Geraldo Rivera did his Satanism TV special, like a 2-hour special, and they had the widow of the founder of the Church of Satan. Why is it escaping me? I wrote a whole freaking chapter about him. Anton LaVey, thank you. And, they had Ozzy Osbourne, and they had all these other, they had parents of daycares who believed that their children were being ritually abused. And it was just a fear-based ratings grab piece of a steamy pile. And Geraldo came back, I think, in the 90s and issued a public apology for that special. And he has a lot to apologize for, because that widely watched broadcast fed into the fear culture that's harmed many people. It harmed a lot of people. Geraldo was wrong about Al Capone's vault. Thanks, ranting atheist. Yeah, that was another thing. It was live television experience, and Geraldo Rivera had a vault that was once Al Capone's, the gangster Al Capone, and they were going to open the vault on live television, and who knows what's going to be in there. Dun, dun, dun. And when he finally opened it, it was like the biggest anticlimax. It was a whole lot of nothing. It was the absolute worst ending. It was just blah. And it's for these reasons that whenever I see Geraldo Rivera talking about almost anything out there, I can't really take him seriously. Seeing the sort of the equity or lack of equity in his journalistic career, it's hard to not look at all the previous mistakes he's made and the sensationalism which has colored so much of what he's about. Let's see. Anybody else? Vangus says that Dillahunty and I need to get guested at Joe Rogan's podcast. Now, Joe Rogan doesn't even know I exist, man. I'd talk to Joe. I think it'd be great to do Rogan's show, but I don't know if he has any real motivation to have a guy like me on him. He's a big fish, and I'm one of a squillion YouTubers out there. By the way, it looks like Matt Dillahunty and I are going to be doing an event together in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of November. And it's going to be a deal where he and I just go out and probably give a couple of short presentations and hang out with the audience, interact with everybody, and it's going to be fantastic. I don't have any details yet. I don't have the venue. I don't have the times. I don't have a specific date other than it's going to be middle of November. There will be tickets sold to just help cover all the expenses because we gotta bring everybody in. But it's not going to be, I think it may be $20 a ticket, something like that. But that's coming up. In November. Matt and I are going to go out and do an event. Matt's a buddy, and it'll be great to see him again. I'm going to be in Orlando the first week in November. July 27th, that's the Colorado Secular Conference. That's happening in Denver. on the 20th. Did I say 27th? Sorry, I'm a little scattered today. Been having some jacked up dreams. Weird dreams. And then you wake up and you're almost tired because your dreams were too intense. Like, I dreamed too heavy and I'm tired. Love says, have I interviewed or looked into interviewing Stephen Hassan? Is it Hassan or Hassan? I'll talk to him. I need to look up his contact info. Stephen. I'll make a note. He is a mental health professional. So I'll be curious. He talks a lot about cults. I know I heard about him from Telltale Atheist recently in the broadcast we did together. Caleb said I should play Far Cry 5. By the way, if you are one of the people who likes to watch me game, I play video games to relax as a break between all the other stuff. I've been activisting for 10 years. I need a break. I need other things. And so I do a lot of horror games. Right now I'm playing a shooter. It's a revisionist World War II story where the Nazis actually won the Second World War. And they have all kinds of hideous technology now at their disposal. And I think I'm a Marine, U.S. Marine named Blaskowitz. I'm a badass, too, in the game. The game's called Wolfenstein: The New Order. And it's me and a ragtag group of rebels behind the scenes, behind enemy lines, who are going to undo this Nazi horde. And so, and it's a great game. We played Alien Isolation. We've done Texas Hold'em Poker. I'm playing one game called Among the Sleep, where you're an infant in a haunted house and you have to crawl around as the haunts are happening around you. Playing a game called Alan Wake. Played Resident Evil 7, which was a favorite. If you would like to follow or get updates when those streams go out, best way to do that is to like my gaming page on Facebook. It's called Seth Andrews Gaming Badly. Okay, and I think that's actually the domain. Let me pull it up real fast here. Rosemary says, I die a lot. Thanks, Rosemary, for that. Facebook.com/Seth Andrews Gaming Badly. Like that page because I'm going to stop streaming it on my personal page. That way it's, I have my fingers in a lot of pies right now. So the people who want the gaming will have that page, and the people interested in ghost stories have that page, and the people who like to see pictures of Linus and my family and all the other personal stuff can like the regular page, Seth Andrews, and those who follow the Thinking Atheist always have that page. And it's amazing. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything, but it's been fun. It's been fun to be able to go out and stream games with sometimes a gaming community as they sort of help me out. I'll hit a wall. I have no idea what to do next, or I'm dying horribly constantly. And they'll say, hey, Seth, look at this obvious thing right in front of you. They'll save my life. It's all of us together in the foxhole. Facebook.com/Seth Andrews Gaming Badly. And I'll take a look at Far Cry 5 when I finish the games that I have in the queue right now. There's another one someone told me to check out called Exodus. Take a look here. Dead Space, Exodus, Metro Exodus. I was going to play a game called Agony, which is a trip to hell. And the graphics in the promo looked amazing, but the gameplay reviews terrible. But you're down there in the depths of hell, crawling around trying to get out. I thought that might be kind of fun. And the reviews are not great, so I'm just gonna. Anybody else? Let's take a look here. Am I a Legend of Zelda fan? Last time I touched a game with Zelda in the title, it was back in the old Nintendo NES system. It's been that long. It's been a long time. Hey, buddy. Linus is down here chewing on what's called a bully stick. Come here, buddy. Want to say hi? Come here, buddy. Everybody, this is Linus. Linus is our rescue from the Humane Society. We've had him for how long we had you, buddy? How long we had you? We got him on Valentine's Day. And he has been such good medicine for us. He's stolen our hearts. He is bonded to us and vice versa in a way that I never would have anticipated after the loss of Henry and Rat Dog. Oh, there you go. How's that? What do you think about it, pal? And everybody loves him. We tried dog boots. Should I go downstairs and get those dog boots? So let me back up. This is, all right, my wife is buying dog clothes. It's like she has another grandchild, okay? So she's like, oh, I found a little shirt, and oh, I found a sweater. A wonderful listener named Claire crocheted 2 royal blue sweaters for him during the colder. Last month is really cold. And walking him, I mean, he was out there freezing. And so she hand crocheted him these sweaters. It was beautiful. And so now he's got a little down jacket, and she bought him a raincoat, which is hugely impractical. I can't imagine he's going to wear it even when it's raining. But she's like, the summers get really hot here in Oklahoma, and they do. We're talking 103 degrees sometimes in August. The sidewalks and the pavement gets too hot for the dogs to walk on. I mean, they'll literally burn their pads on their feet. And so she got these little booties, dog boots. And so we put him on last night. And he just sat there like a stone. Anthony, thank you for the super chat, my friend. And thanks for the kind words. That really does mean a lot. He just stood there. And he would not walk. He would not move. And we weren't going to drag him. Somebody said, ring the doorbell. I'm not going to do that. And they're too heavy. They came off they don't fit well. So we, do I have a photograph? I think I have a photograph of that. I will show you this. Hang on. You got to see this. Do I post too much about my dog? Okay, let me show this to you, my friends. It's kind of wompity on the screen there, but I think you can see this. Dog boots. It looks like he's going to the moon. And that's the position he just stayed in. And we just took them off. But we do want to try to protect his feet from... he's a walker. We go out 4 times a day. We do a full circle around the block and then some. He's a high energy dog. He needs to be walked. And so the idea of, putting him out there when it's really hot and the sidewalk is just, it's just it'll hurt him. And we're not going to do that. So I got to find a solution. Some people have said doggy socks. I don't think that really works because what if it's damp out? Other people say there are these little balloon type shoes and they'll get used to them. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, when you look at that, will you ever get used to them? I don't know. Oh my God. So anyway, that's kind of where we are. But thanks for asking about Linus. Everybody always ask about him. Insects, thanks for the super chat. It's nice to meet a fellow Oklahoman. Let's see. PCB says, check out the new Sid Roth video, Disabled Kid Gets Healed, and he talks about kicking a baby across the room to heal him. Who the hell is Sid Roth? Did you guys see that video of the pastor who raised the dead? Yeah, the guy lying in the coffin who I think was actually already making like breath heaving on his chest and facial motions, but they said he was dead and it was a funeral, and all of a sudden in the middle of the funeral, the guy gets up. He gets up out of the casket and the pastor claims that he raised the dead. Did you guys see that? It's crazy. And I'm like, all right, well, let's do a little peer review on that. Let's go back and check that. Did anyone check the guy? I'd like to see some independent sources go in, take vital signs, take body temperature, rule the cause of death, do all of that stuff before he's actually placed in the casket to make sure that we're seeing an actual raising of the dead. And of course, no one ever did that. And this guy was unbelievably full of poo-poo. Sid Roth has a supernatural show. I'll have to go check it out. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. I think I am going to do a little gaming in just a little bit. I have some more prep to do before the Dallas, Austin, Houston trip this weekend. Going to charge up the cameras. Going to get the PowerPoint finally zipped up for unveiling. But we'll probably do a live game stream here sometime this afternoon. So subscribe or like the page on Facebook, facebook.com/Seth Andrews Gaming Badly. Or you can just follow it on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Seth Andrews TTA. It's a nice distraction. My wife calls it bubblegum for the brain. And when you do this kind of stuff and you're in the heavy conversations all the time, you got to have some find some bubblegum for the brain. Find something, whether it's a game of golf or whether it's a day at the beach or whether it's, live music, whatever rings your bell, whatever floats your boat, whatever takes you to your happy place. Find your bubble gum for the brain and spend a little time there at least once a day if you can. I've made that commitment to do that very thing in my own life. To all of you for watching and listening, thank you. And if you'd like to be a supporter of me and this show on Patreon, I just talked about how freaking YouTube has already demonetized my upcoming video, which I uploaded for patrons. They've already demonetized. It's just a conversation with activist Sarah Roxdale. YouTube says, sorry, it's not advertiser friendly. So the patrons are really helping me to sort of shore this up since YouTube apparently has sold its spine on eBay. So if you want to become a patron, it's patreon.com/Seth Andrews. But regardless, thanks for being here, watching, listening, and being a part of the community and my life. I will see you next time. Take care.